think I'm going to title this episode How to Fight the War Inside. And this
Yeah.
war inside is really a common theme across the whole book.
Yeah.
But when I quit drinking, I had to face who I really was. And even after quitting, I found that the mental battle, it doesn't just end. The cravings, the doubts, the old habits, they're still there.
Mhm.
Today, do you still feel like you're fighting the war inside, or has the battlefield changed for you?
I no longer feel I think within the last 10 years, I had the urge to drink once, and it hit me out of the blue at a traffic light. All of a sudden, I was like, "I want a beer." It was crazy. It just came out of nowhere. So I immediately called some friends of mine who are sober, and I told on myself. I was like, "I just thought about drinking," and it passed. And it's of course you did. You're an alcoholic, right? You haven't had a drink in 14 years, but it is my belief that once I drank myself into the state of alcoholism, I cannot safely drink again. Therefore, every now and then, naturally, an alcoholic would think about drinking. For me, except for this one time, I think in the last 10 years, I seriously had a slight urge to do it and it passed. It's not I'm fighting against this desire to drink, right? That sort of compulsion has been lifted from me. And it is just my normal state now is sobriety. And I don't think about it that much unless I'm discussing it in a context like this with someone else who has quit drinking or who wants to quit drinking. So for me, once I removed this alcohol, though, I did have to face myself. And there's a saying amongst the sort of sobriety community that what do you get when you sober up a horse thief? A sober horse thief. You still have to you still have to look at yourself. And not that I've ever stole a horse. I'm not that cool. I'd like to think I like a Comanche raider or something. Yew. But the fact of the matter is that I'm still looking at myself when I'm sober. When I remove this alcohol, it's not like everything's immediately better. And I'm looking at myself and I'm forced to deal with my shortcomings. And I found myself, eh, particularly in the beginning, it's not as bad now, trying to replace the alcohol with other things, which I justified as being not as harmful. For instance, for me, it's buying books, right? And I have gotten much better about this, but I used to have a very bad book problem to the point where I was going to the bookstore every day for a while and buying books because I'm looking I'm a lot of times a lot of self-help books, right? I have a massive collection of which I've read 20 pages of each one. And I'm like, this isn't gonna fix me. Because I'm looking to some sort of external thing to fix this problem within me. And for me, it was buying books. It's embarrassing after a while because you show up at the bookstore and they're like, "Oh, hey, how you doing? Once
Randy's back.
again, Randy's back." It's like when you drink, you hear alcoholics say this is like they're trying to cover up the fact that they drink so much by shifting their alcohol purchasing location to different convenience stores. Like on Tuesday, I go to this one and get a 12 pack. And then on Wednesday, I go over here to this other one to get a 12 pack because you don't want the clerk at the convenience store to think you're an alcoholic. For me, it's like the bookstore. They're like, "Oh, this guy has a book problem."
You're a bookaholic.
I'm bookaholic. Yeah, it's a problem to this day, I will admit, but I've gotten better about it. I've slowed down about it. I just love books. I love them. I can't help it.
Well, I have to
So,
send you mine then.
yeah, I
You don't have to
absolutely
buy
need
it.
it. Oh, yeah, I will definitely take that. No problem. So, for me, this sort of and some people, like you mentioned earlier, like sex, gambling, all these things, these are external, these are attempts to use external measures to control ourselves, I think, to exert control, to make us feel better. And in the end, the only thing I have absolutely any control over is myself. And I don't even have control over my thought processes. I can't control some of the thoughts that pop into my mind, but I can, with practice, control how much energy I feed those thoughts. I can, if I am intentional about this, control my attitude towards things that are happening beyond my control, right? Outside of my control. It is completely outside of my control that there is a wildfire in Los Angeles right now. And it's even outside of my control that it upsets me and that I'm worried about my friends who live there. But what is in my control is me looking at the way I am reacting to that and rationally examining that and thinking, okay, it is useless for you to sit in this pit of anxiety. You need to think about what you can do because I have no control over anything else in the world other than myself. Thank God. Because if I was in control of everything, it would just be a disaster, right? Everything would be horrible. I would make a horrible world dictator or whatever. But I can only control myself and my attitudes, I think, and it's a constant work in progress. It's constantly me reminding myself of that, waking up every day and thinking, okay, today it could be really screwed up. What matters is how you respond to that rather than simply react.